Good morning, survivors, and happy Saturday. Today we're going to talk about the different degrees of narcissism. A lot of times I have people who come in and ask me, maybe I don't really have a full-blown narcissist. Maybe I have somebody who is just, has narcissistic tendencies. Is that a possibility? Well, let's talk about that, all right? So the fact is that narcissism is sort of on a spectrum. And so you've got your healthy narcissists, which sounds weird, right? But healthy narcissism is what gets us up out of bed in the morning. Every single human on the planet has a certain amount of healthy narcissism in their lives, in their selves. So narcissism is just purely self-interest, as it were. So when you get to the unhealthy narcissism, I think if you ask me, the defining characteristic is lack of empathy for other people. So that's how you can tell if you're dealing with a malignant narcissist or not, is that they don't have the ability or the desire to care about other people and the way that other people feel. And as a result of that, they tend to do things that are disrespectful and upsetting to those people because they don't care how the person reacts, or they want the person to react in a way that is harmful to their soul. Does that make any sense? Not the narcissist's soul, but the victim's. Since narcissists don't believe that there's anything wrong with them, they are unlikely to seek treatment. So those who have sought treatment are usually are those who have sought treatment due to legal issues, or because someone has basically said, I will leave you if we don't get counseling or you don't get some treatment. Okay. And a lot of times they are misdiagnosed and they have a history of fooling psychiatrists even, because they are so good at their false self portrayal or whatever. And every narcissist who is malignant has a false self and a false sense of self. And so that causes them to present differently than they actually are to most people, including, like I said, psychiatrists. And it's because not only are they intelligent, but they're so incredibly manipulative that they actually often believe their own, line of bullshit. So an unhealthy narcissist is going to, have obviously the standard stuff, the lack of empathy, the grandiosity, et cetera, et cetera. But, the question is, are there narcissists who can, be quote unquote saved? Are there narcissists who really are okay people and that you can kind of just deal with a little, not like when it becomes just a slightly like a personality flaw, as opposed to something that sort of takes over your whole world, right? And this is where all the confusion lies, in my opinion, is that a lot of people aren't able to see the significance of the narcissistic behaviors. Now look, of course there are people in the world who are slightly narcissistic in an unhealthy way. But the question is, are those people able to have normal, healthy relationships? And the answer is confusing. So we're going to see what we can figure out here. So does a healthy narcissist, is an unhealthy narcissist someone who takes a lot of selfies? No, not necessarily. Now, an unhealthy narcissist may take a lot of selfies, but that doesn't mean that he or she will actually be a negative, selfies aren't indicative of unhealthy narcissism is what I'm saying. In this society, almost everybody takes selfies. So a healthy narcissist or a person with healthy narcissism might still take selfies. An unhealthy narcissist might also take selfies, but there's way more to it than that. You see what I'm saying? So you can't just look at someone's Facebook page and go, that's a narcissist. Now, if you look at someone's Facebook page and it's filled with drama and poor me posts and posts about how terrible life is and looking for pity and looking for, praise and kind of, I'm so ugly, all these kinds of things, you might have an unhealthy narcissist. Someone who's constantly looking for people to offer them comfort and praise in social media, that can indicate it. But now someone who just posts the occasional selfie, or someone who posts selfies with their friends or silly, stupid stuff, as long as that person still has empathy for the people around them, none of this stuff matters in the grand scheme of things. Do you see what I mean? The main defining characteristic, again, is a lack of empathy and something that, that sense of grandiosity, that sense of I'm more important than everyone else in the world. That's an unhealthy narcissist. So the degree to which that is believed by that person is where we need to start looking. So in the case of a narcissist who is malignant, who is toxic, people want to know, well, can I just be friends with that person? Can I just still be around that person? Can I just control that person's moods and deal with it anyway? And you know what? It's really up to you. The fact is, sure, you can tolerate it as long as they're not physically abusing you. But the danger in it is, of course, that, they've got a long-term game plan in mind. So they often, they want to put you in this position to where you are under their control. And it's so incredibly, boy, I tell you, this guy keeps driving this Hummer down my street, making noise in my video. Anyway, so it keeps you in this position to constantly have to be on the defense. And so if you're not, then you risk being put in your place, so to speak, by the narcissist. You risk being treated poorly and sometimes not even recognizing that you're being abused because it is so pervasive and it happens so quickly. So can you tolerate a narcissist? Sure. Should you? Not really, especially if it's someone that you are in a romantic or a relationship that you are like living with the person, or you're sharing a house with the person. This will change your whole life. And so if you're in that situation, can you? Yes, you can. Should you? No, you shouldn't. Unless you don't care about your own happiness. The thing is that we tend to put the narcissist's happiness before our own because it just becomes easier to not stress about stuff that, we start to slowly change ourselves over time when we get involved with the narcissist. So, when we start out, we might be totally full of life and happy and awesome, and that's what attracts them to us in the first place. But then over time, their influence becomes so increasingly heavy on us. We feel like we have no control over our own selves. We feel like nothing is more important than keeping their moods in check. And that's exhausting for you as a human being, and it's not fair to you as a person to have to do that. You should be also focused on your own happiness. Sure, in a healthy relationship, you would focus on your partner's happiness, but they would also focus on yours, and it would be a dual effort to, keep both of you happy. You see what I'm saying? So yes, you can tolerate an unhealthy narcissist if they're not physically abusing you, but you will be miserable. Your self-esteem will be through the floor, and life will suck for you. So you have to decide, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Unhealthy narcissists believe that they don't have problems. Like I said, in fact, everything that comes up in their life that isn't perfect, they blame on someone else. And sometimes they create drama around someone else's opinion as well. It's pretty messed up. Something to think about. So what can you change about a narcissist? Well, we already know you can't change the narcissist. But what you can change is your own reaction and your own perception of the situation. So the first thing you have to do is recognize that you are not the person at fault in that situation. And you have to recognize that you're not responsible for anyone else's emotions. Okay. So if you can focus on keeping your emotions in check and not allowing the narcissist to elicit emotion from you, at least not in a negative way, then you can tolerate it. But again, they don't change, and if they do change, it's only temporary, and it's only in order to get what they want. So what are the different degrees of narcissism? Well, we've talked before about the different types of narcissist, but of course you've got degrees from a selfie taker all the way up to, a person who's completely and nearly, could probably be considered psychopathically narcissistic, if that's even a thing, because there are some who are so intensely, look, I've got a couple of clients right now who have people in their lives who are literally trying to take over every aspect of their lives, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that, okay? So I think those are maybe the most extreme kinds of narcissists, the kind who will literally ruin a person's life without a second thought, the kind who will physically abuse a person, the kind who will even kill people. Those are the ones you really have to watch out for, right? A selfie taker might annoy you, but he or she is not going to be, as long as this person also has empathy for other people, that doesn't make them a malignant narcissist. Okay, so that's the extremes. Now, can you, if you're dealing with a selfie narcissist, yeah, you can totally work around that. Just get over it. They're going to take selfies. It is what it is. But with yourself, you have to treat yourself in the same way that a loving mother would treat a child. And so if you ever wonder, am I doing the right thing for myself? Ask yourself how I feel if this were my child or my niece or my nephew or my best friend's kid who I'm the godparent of or whatever, someone you care about. How would you feel if that person was in the same type of relationship? What would you say to them? How would you handle it? something to think about. Treat yourself as well as you would treat a child that you love, or as well as you would treat anyone else in your life who's worth your time, because you are worth your time, my friend. All right? So yeah, there are different degrees of narcissism. Yeah, some of those can be tolerated, and some of those shouldn't be tolerated. All right? You have to keep yourself safe mentally and physically. So, all right. I'm going to wrap it up for today. I've got so many things to do, and I may or may not be back today with another video, but I'll definitely be here tomorrow with a self-love Sunday video. Okay? So thank you for being a part of my life, and thank you for letting me be a part of yours. And, here, say hello to my kiddo. Hello, kiddo. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great weekend.